All right, well, hello everyone. Thanks for watching. This is my YouTube edition of the homily for the presentation of the Lord, which so happens to fall this year on the fourth Sunday of Ordinary Time. And I'm going to do the St. Blaise throat blessings this weekend, so I wanted to keep this homily short, but I did want to take a few minutes to explain what the presentation is all about. Because when we read about that, it's the fourth mystery of the joyful mysteries of the Rosary after all, we try to wrap our heads around it by thinking of it as like an early form of baptism almost, and honestly that's not the case. The presentation of your firstborn son at the temple, it really isn't a baptismal thing. It's its own thing, which we don't really do anymore. Certainly not as Christians. I'm under the impression not even Jews do the presentation of the Lord in the temple in the way that we read about in the gospel in the Gospels. And what it comes down to is the Jews would take their firstborn to the temple in Jerusalem to consecrate them to the Lord. And the reason they would do that is because your first child, your oldest child, is and represents tradition. Okay? Your firstborn child will have a greater than normal burden with respect to carrying on the family name, carrying on the family business. You know, in olden days, it was the oldest son that was intended to inherit the family farm or the family business. So the Jews would present their firstborn child in the temple that tradition, that passing on to the next generation would be consecrated be right in the eyes of God and all that good stuff. And I'll never get sick of saying this. It goes all the way back to Exodus. Do you remember the 10th plague? The angel of death takes away the firstborn child of all of the Egyptians. Now, when you read that, there are a lot of ways that the angel of death could have taken action against Egypt. He could have said, you know what, I'm going to decimate you, I'm going to take away 10% of you, and everyone's taking a number, everyone's got an equal chance. One thing I think would be poetic is if the angel of death said, I'm going to wipe out all of your men of fit physical status and of military age. You know, I'm going to take away your entire military, and the nation of Egypt will be completely at the mercy of all your enemies. That would be poetic justice, I'd say. He doesn't do that. What God does is actually more terrifying than that. By taking away their firstborn children, he's taking away their future. He takes away their future on the very day that the Israelites regain their future. You don't have a future when you're slaves. You get to survive for one more day. That's the best you get. So, as God liberates the Hebrews from Egypt to go to the promised land, they regain their sense of a future. And on the very same day, Egypt loses that future. As time passed, the Israelites began to consecrate their oldest children to the temple, that tradition, that future, may always be right and just and good in the eyes of God. For us today, we no longer live in a society where the first child is of critical importance, although it is pretty great being the oldest child. But even so, it is perfectly natural to want to share your best values, your best traditions, the best part of you. You want to give that most of all to your children. It doesn't matter if you have 1 kid or 10, you want the best of you to be passed on to the next generation. And in the context of the Jewish faith, that is what the presentation was all about. Passing on the best parts of us to the next generation and have that consecrated with the sacred so that the very best of us is in right relationship with God our Father. Thank you very much, and happy presentation of the Lord's Sunday to you all.